Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Gregory Poulin on the line, and he's co-founder and CEO over at Goodly. Greg, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam, thanks so much for having me.
All right, so excited to get today's topic today. So this is a hot topic, so student loan repayment, industry trends, lots of cool things going on there. But before we get into that, I do want to go a little bit further into Goodly and how you're helping your clients. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Absolutely. And with Goodly, we help provide student loan repayment as an employee benefit. So we partner directly with employers to help them pay down their employees' student loans as an employee benefit. So similar to how an employer would make a contribution towards a 401k or an HSA, what we'll do is we'll partner directly with the employer, help them customize a monthly payment, which is typically between $100 to $200 per participant per month. And then we'll help to manage everything downstream of that by really serving as the benefits administrator for clients to manage all of their student loan repayment programs. So we'll onboard their employees, verify their student loans, and then facilitate those payments on a monthly basis directly from the employer to the student loan servicer.
Oh man, when I reviewed your company, I was like, how come nobody was paying? None of my employees were paying my student loans. But it's been a long time since I've been in college, but I'm like, oh man, you're spoiled. I had to do one of those in my day. In my day, we had to pay our own student loans back. Now the employer's helping out. I love what you're doing. Seriously, I think it's an amazing benefit, and there's a lot of employers and people out there listening that are looking for creative and new ways to retain, key talent, and also to keep their employees happy. So I love it. I love what you're doing. That being said, at the very end, Greg, I'm going to give you the opportunity to leave your website and contact info so that some of the business owners and employers that are listening that may want to reach out can reach you. But just so that we know that the right ones are reaching out to you, what are the right types of employers that are typically a good fit for Goodly?
So we can work with employers both of all sizes and all budgets. And when we started the company, one of our goals was to build a platform that would be flexible enough to support employers, both all sizes, but also all budgets. And it's been really interesting to see just in terms of the types of employers from both industries and different geographical locations that have been signing up to offer student loan repayment through Goodly to their staff. And of course, being based here in Silicon Valley, we do work with a lot of tech companies and startups. And of course, a lot of folks that are in professional services like medicine and law, where you typically have to obtain an advanced degree or other technical training to fill those positions that typically carry by very high levels of student loan debt. But we also work with a number of manufacturing companies, and as well as folks who are in retail and industries you wouldn't necessarily think of as having high levels of student loan debt. We actually work with a number of Ben & Jerry's locations, as well as a number of nonprofits as well. And there's really not any client that's either too small or too large for our system. And unfortunately, student loan debt is something that does affect folks of all walks of life. There are about 47 million Americans that currently owe about $1.7 trillion in student loan debt. And of course, that's often a barrier for doing things like saving for retirement, saving to start a family, or to buy a home. So for a lot of employers, they're recognizing that and stepping in to help pay their staff student loans, both as a way to recruit and retain employees, as well as support them from a financial wellness perspective as well.
Man, that's awesome. And that's trillion with a T, just for everyone that's listening. Not there's no B in that. It's not a billion. You said trillion. So massive amount of debt out there. And I love that Goodly's helping, alleviate that problem. And I think that's a great transition, Greg. So let's get into the topic. So student loan repayment industry trends. I mean, what are you seeing? What's exciting out there right now?
Yeah, there have been a lot of really exciting trends, even in just the last few months. One of those being a provision within the CARES Act that actually allows employers to make tax-free contributions of up to $5,250 per employee annually towards the employee's student loan debt without raising the employee's gross taxable income. So that's been a really big watershed moment in terms of adoption for student loan benefits, because it is still a new but very rapidly emerging benefit for employers to offer. And by making the student loan benefits tax-free, of course, goes a much further in terms of having 100% of those employer dollars going directly towards paying down the student loan debt. And what we've seen is for the average borrower, they typically graduate just from undergrad with about $40,000 in student loans, which will take around 22 years to pay off. So even a very small employer contribution of $100 per employee per month, which comes out to be about the cost of a cup of coffee, can actually help the average employee pay off their student loans about 30% faster than they otherwise would, and also save a huge chunk of compounding interest over the life of the loan, which is going to free up employees to be able to do things like save for retirement and also accomplish some of their other financial goals when they don't have that huge burden of student loan debt hanging over their head as well.
Man, that's well said, and I love it. It just makes so much sense, and that is a big deal for people paying off their debt. So that was a huge, I would say a huge benefit that came out of the CARES Act that a lot of people are going to benefit from. So I think it's really exciting, and I'm glad. And actually, when you were kind of explaining, when we were talking about that in the pre-show, I'm like, wow, that Goodly's been around, over 2 years. I'm like, you were positioned perfectly for this one when it came about, huh?
Oh, absolutely. And particularly if you look at a lot of the trends from employees in terms of what are the benefits that job seekers and particularly millennial and Gen Z employees and folks who are under the age of 35, what are the benefits that they're really looking for? And there's been a lot of really interesting data trends that have been, and studies that have been released over the last few years that show when you give an employee, particularly an employee with student loan debt who's under the age of 35, the choice between having their employer pay down their student loans versus spending an equal amount of money towards another benefit. In all cases, respondents have more money going towards student loan repayment ahead of things like 401k match and retirement, as well as other benefits like paid time off and PTO policies as well. So it's both a very highly desirable benefit for employers, but also a very affordable benefit for folks to be able to implement. Again, if you're looking at those average contributions from employers being around $100 per participant per month, it's very flexible and affordable for employers, particularly compared to the other benefits that they might already be offering to their staff as well.
Man, that's awesome. So, Greg, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Goodly, what's the best way for them to connect and to reach out to you and your team?
Absolutely. The best way to learn more is just to check out our website. It's just goodlyapp.com. And after you have a chance to look at the website, you can also book a demo directly through our platform and be able to connect with our team, walk through a demo of the system, but also get any questions you might have around Goodly and student loan benefits answered in a lot more detail. So, of course, would encourage folks to check out goodlyapp.com to learn more as well.
Fantastic. Well, Greg, really appreciate you coming on the show today to share more about just interesting trends that are going on in the student repayment industry, and also all the good things that you're doing over at Goodly to help both employers and employees with those student loans. So, man, just great stuff there. We wish they had that when I was coming out of school. As I had to throw that in one more time. I'm a little jealous of some of these new advancements. But that being said, seriously, thanks again for coming on the show. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Greg, thanks again for coming on the show.
Great. Well, thanks so much for having me.